Hey everybody, so I am working on a 2017 or 2018 Polaris. It's a 144 snowmobile. That's a 144-inch track. Customer brought it to me because he blew a belt. Power sports place said, "Oh, it's no problem. You just need a new belt." So hooked him up on the new belt. He put it on. The thing didn't go over, he said, like 40 miles an hour. So there's another issue. Then found out that it had broken. Let's see. Right now, I still have it welded to it. Your bearing housing. This is the shaft that goes from your secondary clutch, and it goes across your tunnel above the track in the front corner of it, right underneath the air box, and it goes over to the brake, which then the brake, you have your chain case, that goes down, and then it goes to your cogs, your drive for your track. So what happened was that bearing, the rivets had broken and it was sagging up and down, causing the belt to be out of alignment, and it was overheating the belt and causing it to not engage properly. So he brought it to me, and I own a welding business. I do all kinds of miscellaneous stuff. I specialize in stuff like this. Anything that's broken, really. So he asked me if I could pull the bearing housing off and just TIG weld the back side of it so that he could put the new bearing housing and everything on. Immediately, I had this little window that I could fit my finger in and push at the joint between the top heat exchanger of above the track, at the front of the tunnel, and I could bend the aluminum down. To me, the aluminum should not be as thick as a soda can, so it's showing signs of wear. So I got in touch with him and I said, look, this isn't just pull the bearing housing off and throw a weld on it. I'm going to have to pull a lot of stuff off. I mean, I've removed the ECU, the air box, air intake, the felt intake, cross members, side plastics, oil reservoir, all the way down to get to the top of the tunnel. And I'll keep this video short. I'm just going to show you what it looks like. And this is pretty much just for anyone who owns a newer snowmobile. I understand that lighter is better, but to be lighter, they compromise the. They don't use thick material. They use thin material. They use rivets. They put bends in it instead of like a thicker material. You put a bend in a really thin piece of metal. You gave it strength until you compromise the bend, and then there's nothing. It is not strong enough whatsoever to hold it. So in this case, this is the front of the track. It's right where it goes from the top heat exchanger and starts to taper down at a 45, and then it gets steeper to probably like a 75-degree angle. So this is taking a hammering from snow. When the trails get hard, you get the ice. And what happens is the snow and the ice acts like an abrasive, like sandblasting. If you take a piece of aluminum and you just hold a sandblaster against it, you will eat the aluminum away until you blow right through it. And that is exactly what happened on the front of this tunnel. So if you own a new machine, this is a 2017 or 18. It's got 2,500 miles on it. The guy trail rides only, and they don't run that late in the season. So they're not those guys that are beating down grass and sand, dirt-covered snow trails. They end the season when the base is starting to get thin. So this is regular use. So flip the camera around. I'll show you what it is. And it's just something to look for. It wouldn't hurt, to take a minute to pull your machine apart, check these, because when it gets to this point, it's not good. So this is the snowmobile. My garage is a bit crowded. I've been staring into the flash, so I see a lot of spots, but I'll get this thing to focus again. You've got missing rivets. That rivet's loose. This rivet is not doing its job because there's no material left. This rivet's worn away. This whole corner is worn out. So I'll show you the thickness. Oh, and you can see a crack right here. So this is the thickness that it's supposed to be. We'll call it, it's probably 11. Actually, no, it's probably 12 to 14 gauge aluminum. Pretty thin. But you can see where it goes from the normal gauge, and over here in the corner, it's like a soda can. Not to mention, this is supposed to have a lip that runs underneath this. Sorry, my finger's in the way. Runs all the way across. Because the snow has been being thrown against it, that is all missing. There is no tab anymore. This is supposed to be a tab that comes underneath. It's not there. So when I look, it's very hard to see with a flashlight. You're really not going to be able to see it. I laid underneath it. This has a black paint on it. All right, so it wears out and it looks like this shiny aluminum. That's another thing. That sidewall is very thin and very eaten away. This is, again, a machine with 2,500 miles on it. This front rivet, this is your front heat exchanger. This is your rear heat exchanger. You can see it right there. That part right there has aluminum. Has coolant in it. So this is your front heat exchanger. This is facing down. So this is taking a lot of the impact from anything that stays on the track is getting launched into that heat exchanger. You can see right here. You can see the play in it. Ouch. Got my finger caught in it. Hang on. See that? All those rivets are loose. This is your front heat exchanger. The holes are wallowed out in this piece of aluminum. So, this piece of aluminum is really just a guard. You can see there's a lip. Just to try and show you, it's very small. Your shaft is actually open faced, so it is covered in snow all the time. This is just a deflector shield right here. You got a nice crack wandering down through it. I could take this apart some more. I might make a new shield. But the problem is there's no material left besides right here. And from underneath I could see there's a little bit of a tab left there. There's nothing in this corner. I'm a little leery of TIG welding to the heat exchanger because they themselves riveted it. And on the underside of it, they did a solid TIG welded patch. Riveted it in the middle, and the coolant runs around the patch so that it is not affected when drilling through it and TIG welding it. So just something to look for. The main reason is because if this had continued to eating away, your air box sits right here, right, as your carburetor. So being that the front panel is already loose all the way across, when it drops these front 6 rivets out and the remaining 1 and 2 rivets in the back, this whole shield could drop. This has a tall track. Okay. All it needs to do is break free, sag, and the lugs are going to grab it and tear it right out from underneath it. Now your air box is free floating above the track in the taper of the front of your track. So it's going to get nailed with salt and snow. If it wears through your air box, which I guarantee you, being plastic, cold, so brittle, it is not going to take that long. Probably 10 miles, you'd probably see a significant wear in the bottom of your air box. As soon as it blows through, you're now dumping snow directly into your carburetor. And that will result in a blown up engine. So this may look like something simple, but it's something so simple as from the factory, they skimp on stuff like this so that you can have a nice light sled, and 2,500 miles later, you're just about redlined on sucking in snow. So again, this isn't the video that I'm going to show you me fixing it. I'm going to go ahead and fix it. There's really nowhere to put a camera. I'll show you maybe the end, but this video is just to show you something to look out for. New isn't always the greatest, but if you take the time to look in places where things take a lot of beating, you can do preventative maintenance. You could also know to trade it in prior to that becoming an issue. So yeah, check out your machines. This is going to be a fun one, but we're going to make it right, and then the customer can do what he wants with it from there, whether it be traded in or ride it. So yeah, that's it. I'll catch you later.